So if you're here and anything you say can and will be used against you, so please note that the recordings will be made. I Am is a broadcast of Centers for Independent Living. Yay! Let's hear it for Centers. Centers for Independent Living is a statewide network of people with disabilities banding together on our boards and through our staffs to make a difference in the lives of people in Maryland and to help people in Maryland live independently and embrace a philosophy of independent living. Philosophy of independent living that says nothing about us without us, that says we are people with disabilities and can function, and that disability is a normal part of life, manageable, doable, possible, and you can be a part of that movement as well. So please come along with us and enjoy our Monday programs. We're on every Monday from 2:00, that's 2:00, to 3:00, that's 3:00 every Monday. So please be here. And if you're not on our email list, please send a note to info@imagemd.org and we'll make sure you're on the list so you find out each week what the newest exciting program is that we have coming up and are going to be able to be a part of it. And also, if you have suggestions for programs that we haven't had yet or that you think we should have, please send us those ideas. Those show ideas are extremely important. You can make a difference in what we do. So listen, let's start out with have a little fun today. New Year's resolutions. Who's got a New Year's resolution that they want to talk about today? Yeah, for 2021. Anybody making resolutions other than getting the vaccine and getting out of the house? Anybody?
So this is Katie. Yeah, I have a resolution. So I have decided that this is the year in which I'm going to implement a 3-step facial skincare regimen. That's my exciting news. So you're welcome.
All right. Well, if you want an example of that, you can look at my face and you'll see that I have implemented it in the past, and you can see already what a profound difference it makes for me.
Sounds like a Facebook Live event to me.
Very youthful appearance, Mike.
Yeah.
You don't look a day past 80.
Yeah, well, there you go. See, it works. It's working. All right. Anything else? Anybody have any wishes for 2021? Any resolutions that you've made? I'm resolving to get out of the house, and before it kills me. I don't do well in this closed-in environment. Oh, who's that?
It's Nadine.
Hey, Nadine, how are you?
My New Year's resolution is to learn how to say no.
Wow. All right. Nadine says it's no. It means no. Why? Does no not mean no for you sometimes?
No never means no. I just don't know how to say it. I always take on so much because I feel like it's really bad to say no, but I'm learning how to say no.
Gotcha. Well, yes, it's a good thing to learn how to do. So yeah, good for you.
That struggle is real, Nadine.
Yeah. All right. What else? Anybody else have any resolutions for the new year? Things you're hopeful for, things you're thinking about that are going to happen for you, things you wish would happen for you. I want to win the lottery somewhere through this year because I'll be running out of money. As soon as we can all travel again, I'll go spend all the money I've saved up over the pandemic, and then I'll be broke. So I'll need to win the lottery at some point later in the year when I've got time to spend it. Anyone else? New Year's resolutions or wishes for you? Crosby.
I'd like to see Maryland Adapt get going again.
Yes.
But I'd like somebody else to do it.
You'd like to see it happen again, but you'd like to see someone else do it?
I'm old and ancient and freaky, so yeah, somebody with actual energy would be perfect.
You can't make resolutions for other people, Crosby. That's not how it works.
But if there's somebody out there who has an interest in Adapt, I love Adapt. I think Adapt is phenomenal. I think we do need to get younger people involved with all of our organizations, including our centers and so forth. But I love Adapt, and if there are people out there who know about Adapt and want to play a part in making a difference in a very powerful way in the lives of people with disabilities, please come and join. Crosby, go ahead.
Yeah, Crosby, maybe there might be some people on the call who don't know about ADAPT, so maybe just like maybe a quick paragraph explanation of who ADAPT is and what ADAPT does.
Okay, sure. ADAPT is a disability rights organization that's been around for, God, I don't know, 30, 40 years. And we don't do a lot of phone calling. We do more active activities. A few years ago, we did a voters march from Baltimore to DC. That was pretty awesome. And so basically, yeah, we do things and we try to free our people and try to get people out of nursing homes. That's our long range goal.
Yes.
Oh, we have great T-shirts too.
And ADAPT does it in some very assertive ways. You're not afraid to chain yourselves to federal buildings and block federal hallways to access to buildings to let officials know that you mean business. Block congressional offices, etc. So it's a no holds barred, if you will, kind of an organization that says we mean it.
Yeah, I loved ADAPT. Crosby and Mike and Sarah and even Katie had really introduced me to ADAPT back in 2016, and I loved Maryland ADAPT, and then I got an opportunity to go to a national ADAPT action in Boston that same year, and it was definitely probably one of the, if not the most empowering things that I've ever done.
That's where this came from.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't go. I actually got it afterwards.
All right. Anybody else have New Year's resolutions, things you... Oh, and so if people want to reach out to Crosby, there's no sense in broadcasting your email address forever and ever unless you have an email that you use for these kinds of things, Crosby. But people can reach out to us at the Image Center and we'll hook you up with Crosby.
I have one.
Yes, who's that?
I'm Brittany. I have one. So I am actually Miss Maryland Wheelchair 2021. So this is my new reign. And I definitely want to raise money for the organization. So that's a big one for me. So I got to do some fundraising and things of that nature, but also to raise money for my nonprofit. It's the Great Escape Recovery Lounge. I'm trying to open up a 12-step program club in Charles County, the Tri-County area. So I have that on my plate as well.
So Brittany, tell us about Miss Wheelchair 2021. Tell us about the organization, because I don't, excuse me, I don't think we've talked about it on this show at all yet.
So as Miss Wheelchair Maryland, it's not a beauty pageant, it's a competition, or it's an advocacy organization. And each year the title holder has a certain advocacy. And this year my advocacy is awareness of substance abuse with the disability community and able community. So bringing awareness and bringing some information and some resources to my area and to Maryland itself, telling my story about how I became paralyzed, because that is a big part of my story and how I got here and how I got the title. So really just, being a part of the community, being someone that speaks up about what they've gone through in their life.
Excellent. So what part of Maryland are you from?
I'm actually in Waldorf, Charles County.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And how did you find out about the Miss Wheelchair competition, and how'd you get involved?
So Shannon Minnick was my mentor, and I happened to meet her. I think it was like right after my injury. I'll be 3 years injured in March. Mm-hmm. And I met her and she told me about the organization, and I ran last year and I got first runner up. So This year they decided to crown me. So I'm pretty excited, but Shannon is a big mentor for me. So she was the one that helped me get to where I am today.
Cool. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for letting us know about this. And if people want to get more information from your organization, how do they do that?
I have my own personal, but I believe Shannon, I think we have the email, and I'll get that to you. There is a GoFundMe page that I actually have to launch this week. So if anybody would like to donate, I am going to if the pandemic works out, I'm going to go to Miss Wheelchair America and have the title for and be there for Maryland.
So you're raising money to pay for the trip to where's Miss Wheelchair America going to be at?
I believe it's in Little Rock. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it's in Little Rock.
Okay.
So
Arkansas.
there's still Arkansas. Yeah,
sorry.
there's still. Yeah.
It's in Michigan this year.
Michigan.
It's actually,
Okay.
The 50th anniversary of Miss Wheelchair America, and so it'll be in Michigan this year.
All right. Now tell us about the competition itself. What are the qualifications that they're looking for, and so forth?
Mike, are you thinking about running?
I'm always thinking, my next office will be, and then no, actually, so my question is going to be, what do we do for the guys that are out there? Is there a Mr. Wheelchair America?
Gosh, if I get that question one more time. So no, there's not a Mr. Wheelchair Maryland, but there's so many great guys in Maryland that could become Mr. Wheelchair Maryland. So Mike, if the Image Center wants to sponsor a Mr. Wheelchair, hey, I'm sure Bong wants to run.
Oh my gosh.
Been bumping into my chair for the last couple of years about a Mr. Wheelchair Maryland.
Oh, see, I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know it was a discussion already, huh?
Oh yes, it's been so much Bong.
I'm sorry,
It's been so much discussion about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I stepped away from the computer. I'm sorry, but I heard my name and I heard running after that. So
yeah,
I ran.
You just got volunteered to run the Mr. Wheelchair.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Since you walked away from your computer, you got the job.
Yeah. Derek Waters and I will do that.
Okay.
Oh, let me find out you threw Derek in there.
Yes, I did. Because we were just talking about it the other day.
To learn more about Miss Wheelchair Maryland, you can go to ms-wheelchair-md.com, and I'll put it in the chat box.
Thank you very much. Excellent.
And the qualification is just, being a person with a disability that advocates for people with disabilities in the community.
Cool. Well, that's an excellent thing. Thank you very much. That's excellent. All right. Other wishes for your New Year's. Anybody have any more resolutions or hopes for the 2021 year that you want to talk about before we go on to talk a little bit about legislation and other stuff? That's what my note says here. It says other stuff.
Hi, Mike. This is Joan.
Hey, Joan.
And I am resolved this year to get more people out of nursing facilities. I had someone tell me last Wednesday that he would rather leave the facility and die out on the street like a dog, quote unquote. And because he said he'd be on his own terms instead of dying slowly in a nursing facility. So that has hit me really hard. And as you guys know, I'm a big old advocate. So that's my goal for this year. So.
Yeah, and it is a real problem. Even once people decide, it takes so long. And even though the Department of Health assures us that people can leave early without losing their status,
no, it's not happening.
It's not happening. I know.
At all.
I know.
And you can't get an answer on that either. So.
Nope. No, you never get a straight answer on it. And then they're told once they decide to leave, well, if you leave, you're going to lose this, you're going to lose that, and it's a horribly it's a process that doesn't appear to have good management at all at this point, and people need to get out.
I'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Joan. That's a great goal for this year. We all, I think, feel that way. We at the Image Center were talking about maybe when the new supports planning contract comes up to enhance our ability to help people by being supports planners. So it is an extreme priority for all of us, I think.
Well, I'm thinking when I win the lottery as well, Mike, that, maybe I can help out there too.
If we win in the same week, we'll have to split it, but that's okay.
Sounds good.
There'll be so much money, who cares, right? Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, great. Good to have you here. Yes.
So this is Bong. So don't necessarily have a New Year's resolution, but Derek Waters and I have been talking for the past week or so, and we plan on expanding on our mentoring group, LEGS, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Society. And for you guys who don't know what LEGS is, it's a mentoring group that helps mentor mainly gentlemen who have had life altercating changes in their lives, who have become disabled, who have become paralyzed, and so forth. And we basically just become like a resource and an outlet for them, to help them through their trials and tribulations. I believe the last meeting we had, collectively as a group, they are going to go ahead and become the nonprofit that they've been wanting to do for a number of years now, at least since I've been a part of it. I used to be president of LEGS a couple of years ago, up until this past year. But I have since then stepped down, and Saki Bellamy has become president. But we're in collaborations with University of Maryland Orthopedic Rehabilitation Institute, formerly known as Kernan, and we meet with the new gentlemen that come in there on a monthly basis, and we're going to start doing Zoom calls as well. But the start of the Zoom calls are going to be a weekly thing. So I must say, Mike and all of the other independent living centers that are on this call, you guys have been a hope of light during this COVID. And getting these calls together has definitely helped other organizations, nonprofit or just social, try to help get back into the community. So we're hoping to do that. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. And actually, I believe Shannon and Kim had been on a couple of the Kernan calls. Unfortunately, I'm not able to make all of the Kernan calls because it conflicts with other meetings that I have. But Shannon and Kim had noticed that there had been some interest in the LEGS group from some gentlemen from Kernan. So thank you to Shannon and Kim for bringing that to Derek and my attention.
When is Kernan going to finally give up and just go back to its correct name instead of all this nonsense of a name I can never remember?
Probably whenever the University of Maryland stops funding.
Maybe we need to send them a bunch of complaint letters about this nonsense. Okay. Well, thank you, Bong. That's excellent to hear that you guys are getting started. I will give you the advice that my fiscal officer advises everyone who comes and says they're going to start a nonprofit, and that is, it costs several $1,000s a year just to maintain a nonprofit. So if you're really serious about it, you may want to find another way, because it eats up a significant amount of money just maintaining the structure of the nonprofit and the rules and regulations and all the bookkeeping that has to be done. You'd be surprised how free you are now and things you won't be able to do once you become a nonprofit. So,
I've explained that.
Yeah.
And I've explained the goods and the ups and the downs.
I always look at nonprofits kind of like people who say they're going to get married, and you're kind of worried about, whether the partner is really the person they ought to marry. It just doesn't do any good to try and talk people out of becoming a nonprofit, but it isn't always necessary. You can a lot of times get another nonprofit to sort of host your funding, etc.
And on a personal
The Image Center, I think, is offering.
There you go. Well, actually, we've done that before, and you know who else has done it, and that is the League.
I was going to say, we have offer from the League because Weens, our sister counterpart, is part of the League. They're branched off of the League nonprofit organization. So.
Yeah, they've done an excellent job. Somebody approached us here a few years back to do another nonprofit, and we did for a while. The problem is we were too small at that point, and it was significant amount of work for us that we didn't have the wherewithal to get done easily. So we asked the league to do it, and they've just done a phenomenal job and are really committed to doing that sort of thing in the community. So,
luckily enough, the position that I hold now, on the books, I can't really do anything with legs, so that's all their decision.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why not. You guys don't give money. The Department of Disabilities doesn't give money to legs, so you can.
No,
do
but
you want.
I have set up. Since I've been in the department, I have set up a partnership between MDOD and legs.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, anyway, nothing wrong with that. Good.
Yep.
Pleased to hear it. All right. Any other New Year's resolutions? Things you wish for the new year?
This is Audrey from
Hey.
ARI. Sorry if this sounds a little bit weird. I am on the road, but I'm the COVID-19 response coordinator at ARI, the Center for Independent Living for Anne Arundel and Howard County residents with disabilities. And we are determined to get out some more PPE to people living in those counties, provide some more grocery assistance, and also to continue with our work towards a more anti-racist and equitable organization.
All right. Excellent. Okay. Anything else? Anything else on the New Year's wish department? Well, let's switch a little bit up and talk about legislation for the next year. What are people wishing that the Maryland legislature will be able to do for this year that you're working on, or that you know of other people that are working on? Any ideas about legislative activities?
Well, Mike, this is Katie. So I've been kind of representing the SILs for the past, I don't know, however many years with the coalition that works on physician-assisted suicide. And I know that this bill will be coming up again this year. Actually, I'm going to pick on Cheryl Grossman. Oh, you there, Cheryl?
Yeah, this is Cheryl. I'm here.
Can you give us just like a little bit of a update on what the legislation is for people who don't know, and then also, why the disability community is opposed to the idea of physician-assisted suicide, and what do you think is going to happen this legislative session? Is that too much?
Well, this is Cheryl. I don't mean to take up your entire hour. So what the bill actually does is it makes it legal for a physician to prescribe a lethal medication. And this goes against what doctors, physicians' creed of doing no harm actually is set up to do. So that's the main issue. It also does not, it has records being deleted within the year or not taken at all. So there's no way to track how many or who is caught up in this. And the death certificates, actually, it's directed by this bill to be the underlying disability cause and not the fact that they received this lethal prescription. So those are the main things. And to tie that in for folks who aren't following, the risk to those of us with disabilities is much higher than the typical lack of access to appropriate health care and mental health care, in the sense that the prescription can be obtained or coerced by just about anyone. The only quote unquote so-called protection here is that you need to see a doctor before getting this prescription. But if you have like the psychiatrist that I did going through chemo, who suggests that, hey, you don't have to fight so hard, you don't have to do this, you can just turn off the machines. The ableism inherent in the system is really easy to overwhelm someone with a new diagnosis, and this is the most often where it's occurring. So that's one of the main concerns. In terms of this year, let me just go back to last year. Last year, this bill didn't pass because the hearing didn't happen. It shut down because of COVID. The year before, the bill died on a tie vote. So this has been a very, very close win for us in the past few years.
Yeah,
this year, the legislature has changed. The Senate has the clear votes. The House may not, because we have a couple of new members. But the structure of hearings and testimony is completely different because they're starting all virtually. And the Senate and the House have completely different rules for how hearings will be done. It does not look like that is going to be in favor of the general population weighing in. So the way in which we can have the most effect at this point is to mount the grassroots campaign. So getting out FAQs, helping folks to use their power to write letters, to write op-eds, to call their legislators, to really do the grassroots organizing that we in independent living do best. So I understand that there will be some additional information given at a future IM meeting. And so there will be other folks on the coalition who will be presenting that. So I don't want to steal their thunder too early.
That's next Monday.
Yes, it is.
Next Monday, the 11th, is that meeting. So I'm a little confused, Cheryl, because in the past, the bills that have come before the Assembly have always been an attempt to basically build in so-called protections of all kinds, so that people weren't encouraged to take their lives needlessly. You're describing a bill that has no protections, et cetera. Have they just decided that since they can't get what they want, they're just going to throw anything in? Or in other words, this seems like a backward way to get at the situation if you really wanted to convince people.
So this is Cheryl. Again, this is getting really into the weeds that will be presented on next week. But maybe I was misinterpreted here. The proponents of the bill, the proponents of those for killing disabled people would say that there are ample protections in the law, in that you have to actually see a doctor and it can't just be a family member, and that's one protection. But like me, that would not actually be a protection. They say that, you have to see, you have to be psychologically assessed to make sure that you're not making this decision in error. But what the bill actually does is it says that you have to have that assessment to see that you know what this medication will do to you. And that doesn't help anyone who's struggling with how to get past a new diagnosis, or how to find purpose in life, or how to get over depression, the things that independent living does traditionally. It does not protect at all in that sense. So those are, the built-in quote unquote protections on that, which to the disability community means very little, if any.
Hi, I have a question. And I've heard a lot about like this law, or this like bill. I know a lot of people are against it. My thing is that, like, personally, I feel everybody should sort of have an individual choice. Like, if someone, for whatever reason, is in a place where they're suffering and they want that option of basically assisted death, it's not my place to judge them for that. And if that's what they want, they should have that available option. Another thing I'm just curious is, like, what are the statistics that a doctor would actually, like, I don't know, not consult the person's wishes and just, like, do practice and, like, say, like, give them a medication that will kill them? Like, what are the statistics?
Well, before Cheryl answers that, in fairness to her, she really isn't saying that she wants to represent those opinions today, but you might want to tune in next Monday at 2:00, because we will have people who are proponents of this, or who are concerned about this bill, and they should be able to answer specifics. Now, having interrupted Cheryl, she's free to answer any way she wants. I just didn't want to put her on the spot.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I was curious. I've just heard about it before.
Yeah.
And
you take the libertarian position that people should have the right to do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Cheryl, and Mike, I know you can't see, but I'm smiling at you. Yes, this will come up next week. The simple answer, and this is an overgeneralization because I want to move us on in this meeting, but the issue of choice is that it needs to be informed choice, just like anything else in the disability community. If we don't know what life can look like, if we're not paired with peer mentors to see how life can be different, it makes it very hard for us to actually show that we're using that informed choice, that informed decision making. And that's kind of the stories that we hear coming out of these very tough situations. And we have years and years of these stories. That's number one. Number two, in terms of the statistics, I'm not sure whether we have actual statistics on the specific question that you asked, but we do have a lot of data now on the sort of experiences of what people are asking for this prescription for, in terms of fear of being a burden to family, fear of being a financial burden or a physical burden on people, and fear of loss of function are the top two. And those statistics can be found in a report by a nonpartisan organization known as the National Council on Disability. And Katie, if you can drop that into the chat, that would be helpful for me, because I can't access the chat. But yeah, those are the simple answers. You will get a whole lot more information about it next week.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you. And who are you, by the way?
Sorry, I'm Cody Drinkwater. I'm the regional self-advocacy specialist at for DDA on Eastern Shore.
Okay, great to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, other issues of legislative importance that are going to be coming up this year that people know about. That's usually how we find out about what we're going to be fighting down in Annapolis. And just to, by the way, to add to what Cheryl was saying, not about assisted suicide, but about the assembly. Yes, it's going to be extremely difficult to make your presence known by showing up with groups of 50 for a hearing, because there aren't going to be 50 people to show up. In other words, there are going to be no live public hearings at all. So it's going to be a real challenge for us as we learn how to reach out and make our presence felt to delegates and senators. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all sorts itself out. Other legislation.
So this is Cheryl.
No.
Oh, I was going to jump in. There are two voting bills, and I don't know what the numbers are yet, but one has to do with the ballot initiatives being written in plain language, which will be a significant help to those with developmental disabilities and learning disabilities. Well, really to everyone. Those ballot initiatives are often written in such a way that from beginning to end, you're in a circle. You don't even know what it's saying. And it's deliberately done that way to confuse people. So we're hoping that will go forward. The other bill, I'm a little bit hazier on, but at least a portion of it has to do with the ability to not have to wait in line if you have a disability that makes it difficult to wait in hours-long lines, especially outside if people are the person voting. I had some information that bill will also include something about the height of the voting drop boxes, which is often over the head of someone like myself who's 4'3" or someone using a wheelchair. I cannot guarantee that made it into the bill because the language was drafted after people realized that it didn't get in somewhere. So I'm not sure that actually made it.
Yeah, I don't know how consistent it is. I went to drop my ballot off whenever that was, September sometime, and the drop off slot was about 4 feet up off the ground, 4.5 feet. So I was pleased to see that, but I don't know whether that to what extent that is a consistent thing, or whether that I just happened to luck out at the school I was at. All right, other legislative issues that are going to be coming up. Anybody know? Anybody want to talk about bills that you're aware of?
This is Sarah.
Sarah.
I don't have a specific bill. I think I'm still waiting to see what's going to go down. But the piece I'm wondering about, and wondering if folks on this call have seen, I've been looking and haven't seen anything. You know, I'm feeling like we may need some training or somebody explaining to us what's going to be best strategies for advocating. I know Cheryl mentioned, you know, writing letters. Of course, we've all had experience where they don't get there or they don't get where they need to go. And we may be even more worried about that this year. You can only do so much with filling phone lines, particularly if staff aren't in Annapolis working. So given that we won't be able to show up, you know, to do stuff in person, I'm just wondering if anyone on the call has seen like trainings or webinars where we could learn new strategies that will be good for the year.
Yeah, has anybody given any thought to that? There was a meeting about a month ago at which somebody whose name I can't remember now pointed out all of the sort of impediments to getting direct access. And at the time, people recommended maybe using Facebook, and maybe, you know, those of us who have legislators' cell phone numbers or numbers, office numbers, could use them, email addresses, etc. But it is going to be very, very different for sure. And getting to committee staff and being able to send emails and notes to committee staff as well. Has anybody heard of any legislative training that's going on, and people who are smarter than I am who are really thinking this through?
So this is Cheryl. I've seen information go out on Zoom, both of which were not accessible for me to attend. But for various groups that tend to do lobbying in Annapolis, I am more than willing to tap them to see if they have like an FAQ or like a talking points for it, because I'm still waiting for accessible materials on that. Number one. Number two, I'm more than happy to reach out to the local legislators here and see either what they would suggest for it, or if they can put together something for us, for staffers from a bunch of offices if we ask for it. I'm happy to do that.
I think that would be a wonderful place to start, and then just sort of putting everyone on notice that if you see anything come up in your social media feeds and so on that's a training opportunity. I know many of you are involved in a lot of different groups, and that you may see something. I don't know if Maryland Nonprofits is doing anything, which is an organization that, you know, most all the SILs belong to. I haven't seen anything yet from Henry Bogdan, but and we've hired, you know, lobbyist firms in the past to do things for the SILs. I don't want to ask them because that's going to cost us money, but I am sort of wondering the techniques, strategies.
I guess I'm also wondering if there is a need, given sort of the new environment. A lot of us, you know, get various legislative information from different sources. I'm wondering if anybody has thought about a weekly program of some kind where people could come and share their legislative initiatives with other folks and build interest or a lack of interest in or opposition to their particular bill that has to do with disability. And so maybe we ought to have some discussion about that, because it really does seem to me that it's going to be key for all of us to know what's going on. And I don't know that there's a real venue or a model for how we do that in this year in this session.
So it's on my list to see if we can kind of tap into the structure that the Maryland Disability Rights Coalition has to be able to create a forum for that, but I didn't get around to it yet, but it's on my list.
All right. Well, if you need any help with it, I'd be glad to help. I think it's going to be really important that we know about bills as they drop, and because, you know, the typical old ways where we'd be wandering through the halls at the Capitol and we'd hear about bills and people would get a hold of us by email, et cetera, and then we'd go to a group lunch and mention issues at Baltimore County Commission, for example, was a big part of how we circulated information around in this area. But a lot of those are shut down now, so we have to sort of rethink how we're gonna make sure we all know what bills are out there and what we want to support. And then, of course, as Sarah points out, how do we, once we decide we want to support them, how exactly do we do that? What does that look like? All right, other legislative issues. Go ahead, Katie.
I don't know if there's anything, I haven't heard anything, but I think we should be definitely keeping an eye out on changes to operations in nursing facilities. I know that there was a commission established and there were some recommendations put forth by the commission. And that's also on my list to follow back up on. But I think there's probably, I would anticipate some legislation to be released with regards to, maybe standards of care in nursing facilities, infection control management, preparing for the next pandemic kind of thing. But Cheryl, do you know anything about specific legislation on that?
This is Cheryl. I don't know specific bills, but I can guarantee that's going to be a part of it. It's Delegate Lisa Belcastro who's heading that. I do have a fairly direct link to their office, and I'm planning on continuing to use that. What I basically was able to find out about maybe a month or so ago is that the nursing home lobby has already been lobbying her. So we are going to need to definitely stay on top of that. She's interested in our issues. We just need to make sure that all the information is on the table. And it's about who gets there first, honestly.
Yeah, and some of us have had, some of the SIL directors have had calls with her kind of pointing out those issues and talking about, the definite power issues, the power differential, and us not having good lobbying structures or money to do it. So, I think she's aware that there are people in facilities who are hurting and dying at alarming rates. So I'm really hoping that something good will come out of that. And we should follow up. That's on my list to follow up with Delegate Belcastro as well.
Yeah, so this is Cheryl. She is interested in listening, but the depth of the issue is eluding her. And here's an example. Here in the Jewish community in Baltimore, the food pantries that are, or I shouldn't say food pantries, the Meals on Wheels program for those who keep kosher in the entire area is run out of the local nursing facility that also had rampant cases of COVID. So while they're dealing with COVID outbreak uncontrolled in that facility, they're also sending out the only kosher meals and making a profit over it because it's $8 a meal here, making a profit while selling that to the most vulnerable who are living in the community. And that wasn't, the response when we asked about it is that, oh, they have separate staff doing this. It wasn't about that structure at all. It fell on deaf ears. We've got a long way to go.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard of anything else that's out there. Has anyone else got legislative items coming up? This is excellent. You guys are probably, we have right here on this call probably 4 or 5 of the most informed people around the state that keep track of this kind of legislation. Thank you guys for doing that, keeping us informed about what's going on. Maybe what we ought to do is set aside, 5 minutes at the beginning of each. Maybe we don't need a weekly broadcast of any kind. Maybe we just need a weekly broadcast, a weekly sort of a moment to stop at the beginning and say what bills have been introduced, although, and see how that goes. I'm not sure, folks. Well, I'll leave it to smarter people than me to figure that
out. Mike, I just wanted to offer an opportunity for anyone who's interested. The Statewide Independent Living Council has a legislative subcommittee. I'm actually co-chairing that this year, and we are going to be developing kind of like a public policy platform that kind of lists what our issues are so that when legislation comes about, we can inform legislators on those issues. And, so not direct lobbying, but definitely add some advocacy work. If anyone is interested in joining in on that, I have a doodle poll you can complete. We're hoping to meet next week to begin work on that. So I'll drop that in the chat as well.
Good, thanks. All right.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Does the Home Act need attention again this session? Like, I know like one county passed it, but is there
It passed, didn't it?
It's done.
It's done. It's over. We're good.
Good.
For everybody statewide?
Everybody.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Yes,
Great.
that was our big
One
accomplishment.
less thing.
That's right. That's right. Thank God. Ever since I've gotten involved with legislation in Maryland, it seems to me that the Home Act was always on our agenda every year. So,
Now
yes.
just actually making sure counties abide by the law. That's all. Just that.
Yeah, it was excellent work by everyone. It was one of the bills that made it through the assembly. All right. Any other legislation for this year? Thoughts about hopes for laws? Maybe you don't know about legislation. Maybe you just think there should be some legislation on some issue that you have concerns about. Oops. No. Well, hearing none.
Second, I have one.
Yeah, who's that?
This is Fabiola speaking.
Hey, Fabiola, how are you?
Just wondering, I know it's still very early, but W-2s, 1099s are going to start going out the door. I'm wondering if there might be an IAM meeting for consumers on how to treat their stimulus payments from 2020, whether or not they need to file, even if you're making, certain amount, small amount of income. Tax laws have changed, and maybe our consumers need to know. Sorry, I've lost my voice the last.
That's okay. I haven't looked at this 5,000-page monstrosity that went through last week to know exactly what it says about the taxable nature of this income that people are going to get, and or the process for making sure that you get it. I know there were a lot of problems with the first CARES Act that went out in April because people weren't on the right list and didn't get the right information about how to do it. So you're right. That is a topic that's important. It may not take that long. It may not even be a full program, but somebody needs to come on and explain how do you get your money, and then was last year's money taxable?
Maybe one of the benefits counselors at one of the CILs would be willing to talk about that. I know there's also always a lot of confusion if anyone received unemployment during the year, which there would have been many more people than usual receiving unemployment, and that people really get nailed and into trouble on taxes in relation to receiving unemployment. So I don't know which CIL director, but maybe somebody wants to see if their benefits counselor would want to talk about it. And I think you're right, Mike. It could be 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning, of a session, February and March, a couple of times.
Yeah,
no, that's an excellent idea. Let me talk to somebody at our.
Just to let people know where to get free assistance, free, help, because a lot of people don't know that you don't have to pay for certain assistance, especially if you're below a certain income level.
Free income tax preparation. It's always an important topic. Thank you. That's a good one. Yeah, that's right. That's a good one. Well, we got more topics than we got time to have meetings, folks. That's okay. That's a good problem to have. There's a lot of information to get out there, and a lot of times our topics simply don't cover a full hour, so we can sneak stuff in at the beginning and then make sure people get it. So that's an excellent idea. Other issues? Anyone?
If we're near the end, the only other thing I wondered, and like Shannon or Nadine, not to call people on the carpet, but if we had a quick discussion at the end of one session about potentially doing a couple of events with all the CILs that were more social, less IL skill, more social skill, more social fun. And I know Shannon and I had a quick exchange about another idea this morning in regards to that, and I just kind of wanted to take the temperature on where we are, but I am not taking charge of it, so I'm going to be quiet.
I've been having a glass of wine with you guys every night around 8 o'clock. None of you ever seem to show up, but I've been willing to do my part.
I don't think Nadine is the person to ask about this, because she said she's working on saying no. So that leaves Shannon.
You have to take that back.
There are some things I will say yes to, because I did introduce, when we had the conversation about having more social events and getting the in the weeds stuff and having someone or some people who may need that. So I would love to be a part of that. I don't want to chair.
She said yes before she said no, so we got her.
Yeah.
The technicality or a loophole.
You got it.
Okay.
So I am actually putting in a link to the first event, which is going to be February 12th. It's a movie. And again, all sales are invited and your consumers. So we do talk about self-advocacy within, surrounding what happened in the movie. So it can be, a service. So we do, when we invite our consumers, we do kind of try to incorporate, social and one of the IL skills. So this is the event that's coming up, and the event that Sarah referred to, Serena's currently working on getting that group scheduled, and it's probably going to be in February as well. But again, these things are, fun, but can be also independent living skill. So.
Well, and there's no greater knowledge than I've ever gained in my life. You can take all the experts you want and throw them all in a big bag and shake them up, and out comes a bunch of expert advice. But the best advice I've ever gotten and the best knowledge I've ever gained is from meeting people with my disability, learning about how they, or people who have disabilities, learning how they do things, how they make things happen in their lives. I can't emphasize enough just how powerful these meetings can be for people to meet folks just like them and how they function. So yeah, I'm excited. So what about this meeting? Hang on, I'm trying to remember the name of it. This group that meets on the third Fridays of every month, or is it the fourth Fridays of every month? Is that's still functioning, right? What's it called?
Shannon. What's it called, Shannon?
What meeting?
Live and Thrive.
Live and Thrive Maryland. There we go.
I'd say it used to be called Second Beginnings, and I think Shannon tried to
once a month.
So that's
you made it sound like it was every other week. It's
okay.
Once a month, Live Thrive Maryland.
And what time and when and all that?
So it's
I think it's
go back and make sure I don't give you the wrong dates. Go ahead, Bob.
I think it's from 2 to 4. I don't know what the
From
next
2
one
to
is.
4 is. I'm not sure what
I think it's the
next
third
one's
Friday.
about. And I'm pulling up the thing. So yeah, it's the third Friday of the month. It's from 2 to 4. Not sure what's going on this month because Crystal hasn't said, "Hey Shannon, what are we doing this month?"
I think
Okay.
Crystal is on the call too.
All right, and this is
the last month went well. We did 7 tips. 7 tips to take you into the new year, your New Year's resolution. So that was pretty cool. A lot of people participated. I think it was like 20 something people on that call.
Oh, that's great.
So this month it's on the 15th.
So yes.
So it must be the third Friday then.
It's the third Friday.
Yep.
All right.
I'm
Excellent.
not sure what we're gonna I haven't played around with it in my mind yet, but I'll figure out something.
So if somebody's interested in attending, they get a hold of Crystal, or they can contact us at Image, and we can forward it on to Crystal or Shannon, and make sure that people get hooked up with the Zoom link and all that stuff, right? Doesn't it get displayed on Facebook as well? Isn't there a notice usually put out there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
And if someone is in Anne Arundel or Howard County is interested in this, you can also get in touch with myself, Joan, or Brittany at ARI.
Excellent. All right, folks, it's coming up on the magic number of 3 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Again, these broadcasts are weekly broadcasts of the Centers for Independent Living throughout Maryland, and we're really pleased that you could be here today and contribute everything that you do contribute to helping us make this a good discussion. I think at the beginning I was concerned we wouldn't have enough time, but we did, and we got everything in. I'm sure we could go on for hours to talk about resolutions and things. I haven't made any, so mine would be a very short conversation. But thank you all very much for being here. These broadcasts are archived at YouTube. So if you and if you want to know about future broadcasts, send us a note at info@imagement.org, and we will make sure that you get on the list to find out what's going on. If you have a few pennies or dollars or hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars and you don't know what to do with them, or you really believe in us, please donate. You'll be given an opportunity to donate on that page that comes up after this program. Your contributions are what make this possible. We can't do it without you. We must fund our own movement if we're going to become powerful in the world, folks. People with disabilities must step up and do our part to make a difference, and sometimes that part means funding. So thank you very much for any contributions you can make. Until next week, when we talk about assisted suicide, and definitely going to be a controversial and interesting discussion to have. Until next week at 2 o'clock, this is Independence Amplified Maryland, and thank you. Happy New Year.